building solutions, database, system, and application development tools.
Good day everyone, I am John Joseph Bikito. I am the first reporter from Group 5. Database, data, and information. Database, collection of the data organized in a manner that allows access, retrieval, and use of that data. And data is a collection of unprocessed item like text, number, image, audio, video. And information naman is processed data, organized, meaningful, and useful. So, a school admission department might process new student data and information. Ito po yung each step ng pag-process ng information, data information ng bagong estudyante. Nakikita nyo po dun sa database software, often called database management system or DBMS, allow users to create and computerize data, add and modify and delete data, sort and retrieve data, create forms and report from the data. So, the hierarchy of the data. Data is organized in level information technology or IT. Professionals classify data in a hierarchy. Each higher level of the data consists of one and more items from the lower level depending on the application of the user. Different terms describe the various level of the hierarchy. Data is organized in different levels. Characters, field, records, and files. School database. Dito po nakapaloob yung instructor files, student files, schedule of classes, tapos student schedule files, tapos meron din po tayong characteristic of ID fields. Ayun po yung makikita nyo dun sa slide sa gilid po. Tapos meron din tayong structure files. Ayun naman po nakapaloob yung records, field names, tapos fields. A character is one byte. A number, letter, space, punctuation mark, or other symbols. A field is combination of one or more related characters like field name, field size, data type. Ayun po yung nakikita nyo dun sa gilid. Ayun po yung mga example like instructor ID text, first name text, last name text, extension number, office text, tapos email address, hyperlink. Ayun po yung fields and data types. Sa baba naman po yung student ID number. Ayun po yung field. Yun din po sa kaliwa. Tapos yung data types po. Kanan. A record is a group of related fields. A primary key is a field that uniquely identifies each record. A data file is collection of related records. So, ito po yung example ng student file. Yung nandun po sa slide. Student ID, first name, last name, address, city, state, postal code, email address, data admitted, major, and photos. Ayun yung mga example lang student file po. File maintenance refers to the procedure that loop the data current. File maintenance include adding records to modify records, in and deleting records. Validation compares data with a set of rules or values to find out if the data meets certain criteria, like alphabetic or numeric check, range check, consistency check, completeness check, check digit, others checks.
Hello, good day everyone. My name is Darwin John S. BARLIZO. I am second reporter. Re-report ko all about sa file processing system and database. First is, what is file processing system? File processing system is a way of storing, retrieving, and manipulating data, which is present in various files. Files are used to store various documents. All files are grouped based on their categories. The file names are very related to each other and arranged properly to easily access the files. In file processing system, if one needs to insert, delete, modify, store, or update data, one must know the entire hierarchy of the files. In a typical file processing system, each department or area within an organization has its own set of files. The records in one file may not relate to the records in any other file. Many of these systems have two major weaknesses. One is redundant data, and two is isolated data. Redundant data. Data redundancy is the repetition or superfluity of data. Data redundancy is a common issue in computer data storage and database systems. Data can appear multiple times in a database for a variety of reasons. For example, a shop may have the same customer's name appearing several times if that customer has bought several different products at different dates. Disadvantage of data redundancy is causes data inconsistency, decreases efficiency of database, and may cause data corruption. Next is data isolation. Isolated data in file processing system and data is stored in different files. These files can be in different formats. If you want to extract data from two files, then you are required to which part of the file is needed and how they are related to each other. Database approach. The database approach emphasizes the integration and sharing of data throughout the organization. The database approach offers a number of potential advantages compared to the traditional file processing system. Advantage and disadvantage of a database approach. Advantages of the database approach include the following. Reduce data redundancy. Most data items are stored in only one file, which greatly reduce duplicate data. Next is improve data integrity. When users modify data in the database, they make changes to one file instead of multiple files. The database approach increases the data's integrity by reducing the possibility of introducing inconsistencies. Next is shared data. The data in a database environment belongs to share. This data is independent or separate from the programs that access the data. Next is easier access. Database approach allows non-technical users to access and maintain data, provided they have the necessary privileges. Many computer users also can develop smaller databases themselves without professional assistance. Lastly is reduce development time. Many database management include several tools to assist in developing programs, which further reduces the development time. Disadvantages of a database approach include the following. A database can be more complex than a file processing system. People with special training usually develop larger database and their associated application. Next is database also require more memory and processing power than file processing system. And lastly is database can be more vulnerable than data in file processing systems because it can store a lot of data in a single physical file. So many users and programs share and depend on this data. If the database is not operating properly or is damaged or destroyed, users may not be able to perform their jobs. Types of database. A data model defines how users view the organization of the data. It does not define how the operating system actually arranges the data on the storage media. A database typically is based on one data model. There are three popular data models in use today: are relational, object-oriented, and multidimensional. First is relational database. A relational database that stores data in tables that consist of rows and columns. In addition to storing data, a relational database also stores data relationship. A relationship is a link within the data. Application best suited for relational database are those whose data can be organized into a two-dimensional table, tables with rows and columns. Next is object-oriented database. Object-oriented database stores data in objects. An object is an item that contains data, as well as the actions that read or process the data. Examples of application for an object-oriented database include media database that stores image, audio clips, or video clips. And lastly is multidimensional. A multidimensional database stores data in dimensions. A multidimensional database can store more than 2 dimensions of data. This multiple dimension allow users to access and analyze any view of the database data. One application that uses multidimensional database is a data warehouse. A data warehouse is a huge database that stores and manages the data required to analyze historical and current transactions. And that's all my report. Thank you.
Hello, my name is GONZAGA, and this is my report about database management systems. A database management systems, or DMS, or database program, is a software that allows you to create, access, and manage a database. Managing a company's database requires a great deal of coordination. The database administrator, or DR, is the person in the organization who is responsible for managing and coordinating all database activities, including development, maintenance, and permissions. DBMSs are all available for many sizes and types of computers. Here are some examples of database management systems: MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft Access, SQL Server, FileMaker, Oracle RDBMS, DBase Clipper, and PaxPro. A data dictionary contains data about each file in the database and each field in those files, as shown in the diagram. File retrieval and maintenance provides several tools that allow users and programs to retrieve and maintain data in the database. To retrieve or select data in a database, you query it. A query is a request for specific data from the database. Users can instruct the DBMS to return or restore the results of a query. The capability of querying a database is one of the most powerful database features. For example, a database management system, or DBMS, includes a number of tools that allow users and programs to access and maintain data in the database. A query is a request for information from a database. A query is a request to the database for specific information. Users can tell the database management system to show, print, or save the results of a query. One of the most powerful database capabilities is the ability to query a database. A DBMS provides several tools that allow users and programs to retrieve and maintain data in the database. Here are some examples of it. Query language, form, query by example, report writer. As I've said, a query is a request for specific data from the database. A query language consists of simple English-like statements that allow users to specify the data to display, print, store, update, or delete. Structured Query Language, or SQL, is a popular query language that allows users to manage, update, and retrieve data as shown in the picture. Most DBMSs includes Query by Example, or QBE, a feature that has a graphical user interface to assist users with retrieving data, as shown in the picture below. A form is a window on the screen that provides areas for entering or modifying data in a database. A report writer allows users to design a report on the screen, retrieve data into the report design, and then display or print the report. Data security. Most organizations and people realize that data is one of their most valuable assets. To ensure that data is accessible on demand, an organization must manage and protect its data just as it would any other source. For example, data security is the discipline of safeguarding digital data throughout its life cycle from unwanted access, corruption, or theft. The deployment of tools and technology that improve the organization's visibility into where its vital data resides and how it is used is part of data security.
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Beta Pineda from Group 5 and I'm discussing about backup and recovery and its technique, forensics databases, and system development. First, backup and recovery. What is backup and recovery? Backup and recovery describes the process of creating and storing copies of data that can be used to protect organization against data loss. Recovery from a backup typically involves restoring the data to the original location or to an alternate location where it can be used in place of the lost or damaged data. Additionally, a database is a damaged or destroyed because of hardware failure, a problem with the software, human error, or a catastrophe such as fire or flood. A databases management system or DBMS provides a variety of techniques to restore the database to a usable form in case it is damaged or destroyed. Now, the database management system techniques to restore a data. First, full database backup. In this full database, including data in database, meta information needed to restore the whole database, which means a full database backup backs up the whole database. This includes part of the transaction log so that the full database can be recovered after a full database backup is restored. Second, the differential backup. It stores only the data changes that have occurred since last full database backup. When same data has changed many times since last full database backup, a differential backup stores the most recent version of changed data. For this first, we need to restore a full database backup, which means a differential backup is a cumulative backup of all changes made since the last full backup, and the advantage to this is the quicker recovery time and requiring only a full backup and the last differential backup to restore the entire data repository. Third, the transaction log backup. In this all event that have occurred in the database, like a record of every single statement executed is backup. It is the backup of transaction log entries and contains all transactions that had happened to the database. Through this, the database can be recovered to a specific point in time. It is even possible to perform backup from a transaction log if the data files are destroyed and not even a single committed transaction is lost, which means the transaction log backup allows to restore a database to a particular point in time before the failure has occurred. Meaning that in order to restore a database to a certain point in time, all the transaction log records are required to replay database change up at the particular point in time. The continuous backup. Continuous backup, also called continuous data protection or real-time backup, refers to backup of data by automatically saving a copy of every change made to that data, essentially capturing every version of data that the user saved. And that's all the database management system techniques to restore a data. Now, the forensics database. What is database forensics or forensics databases? Database forensics is a branch of digital forensic science relating to the forensic study of databases and their related metadata, which means database forensics is a digital investigation process which deals with database contents and their related metadata to reveal malicious or suspicious activities carried onto or through database system. The collection and analysis of biometric and other data used in criminal investigation is called digital forensics. What is digital forensics? Digital forensics is a branch of forensic science that focuses on identifying, acquiring, processing, analyzing, and reporting on data stored electronically. Now, the last part of my report is the system development. System development. An information system is a collection of hardware, software, data, people, and procedures that work together to produce information. System development is a set of activities used to build an information system. System development is the process of defining, designing, testing, and implementing a new software, application, or program. A system development activities are grouped into phases, and it's called the System Development Life Cycle, or SDLC. This is the SDLC, or System Development Life Cycle. What is the System Development Life Cycle, or SDLC? It's a conceptual model used in project management that describes the stage involved in an information system development project, from an initial feasibility study through maintenance of the completed application. SDLC, or System Development Life Cycle, have 5 phases. First, the planning. Second, analysis. Third, the design. And fourth, the implementation. And last is support and security. First, the purpose planning phase, or the planning phase. The purpose of planning phase is to outline the scope of the problem and identify solutions. The planning phase of the system development life cycle is also when the project plan is developed that identifies, prioritize, and assign the tasks and resources required to build the structure for a project. Planning phase should review project requests, prioritize project requests, allocate resources, and form project development team. Second phase, the analysis. The goal of analysis is to determine where the problem is in an attempt to fix the system. This step involves breaking down the system in different pieces to analyze the situation. Analyzing project goals, breaking down what needs to be created, and attempting to engage users so that definite requirements can be defined. In analysis, should conduct preliminary investigation, perform detailed analysis activities like study current system, determine user requirements, and recommend solution. This is the third phase in system development life cycle. Third, the design. In system design, the design function and operation are described in detail, including screen layouts, business rule, process diagram, and other documentation. The output of this stage will be described the new system as a collection of module or subsystem. In design, should acquire hardware and software if necessary, and develop details of system. Fourth, second to the last, is the implementation. The overall design for the software will come together. Different modules or design will be integrated into the primary source of code through developer efforts, usually by leveraging training environments to detect further errors or defects. In implementation, should develop program and apps if necessary. Install and test new system. Train users and convert to new system. And the last is the support and security. During the system operation, support and security phase, the staff maintain, enhance, and protect the system. In support security, you should perform maintenance activities, monitor system performance, and assess system security. In ongoing activities, project management, feasibility assessment, documentation, and data information gathering. That's all the life cycle of system development. System development guidelines. System development should follow 3 guidelines. First, the group activities into phases. Second, involve users. And the last is the defined standards. First, the group activities into phases. System development life cycle contains the same phases shown in the picture. Others have more or fewer phases. Regardless, all system development cycles have similar activities and tasks. Second guideline, involve users. Users include anyone for whom the system is being built, customer, employees, student, data entry specialists, accountants, sales manager, and owners are all the example of users. Users are more applicable to accept a new system if they contribute to its design. And the last is the defined standards. Standards are the set of rules and procedures an organization expects employees to accept and follow. Standard help people working on the same project produce consistent results. And that's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Alyzza Marie and Panambitan, and who participate in system development. System development should involve representative from each department in which the proposed system will be used. This include both non-technical users and IT professionals, although the roles and responsibility of the members of the system development team may change from organization to organization. During system development, the system analysis meets and works with a variety of people. System analysis is the responsible for designing and developing an information system. Sometimes, system analysis, also known as a business technology analysis, is an information technology professional who specializes analyzing, designing, and implementing information system. The system analysis is the user's primary contact person. Depending on the size of the organization, the tasks performed by the system analysis may vary. Smaller organizations may have one system analysis or even one person who assume the role of the both system analysis and software developer. Larger organizations often have multiple system analysts who discuss various aspects of development project with the user, management, and other analysis. Database analysis, database administrator, network administrator, web developer, software developers, vendors, and steering committee. A steering committee is a decision-making body in an organization. For each system development project, an organization usually forms a project team to work on the project from beginning to end. The project team consists of user, the system analysis, and other IT professionals. System analysis analyze how well software, hardware, and the wider IT system fit the business of their employer or a client, the right requirements for new system, and also help implement them and monitor their effectiveness, examining current system. System analysis responsibility implements computer system requirements by defining and analyzing system problems, designing and testing standards and solutions, define application problem by conferring with clients, evaluating procedure and process, develop solution by preparing and evaluating alternative workflow solution, control solution by establishing specification and coordinating production with programmers, validate results by testing program, ensure operation by training client personnel and providing support, provide reference by writing documentation, accomplish information system and organization mission by completing related results as a name. Before we move to the next topic, a steering committee is a group of high-level advisors who have been asked to govern an organization or organizational segment and provide it with direction. The steering committee is often responsible for creating working groups and choosing the right expert to complete a project proposed changes to our project scope. Project must be approved by steering committee to ensure the changes align with the project aim. Many steering committee create project charters to hold project teams accountable. Project management. Project management is the process of planning, scheduling, and controlling the activities during system development. The goal of the project management is to deliver an acceptable system to the user in an agreed upon time frame while maintaining the cost. In smaller organization or a project, one person manage the entire project. For the larger project, the project management activities often are separated between project manager and project leader. In this situation, the project leader manages and controls the budget and schedule of the project, and the project manager controls the activities during system development. Project leaders and or project managers are part of the project team. If the system analysis is not the project manager, he or she works closely with the project manager. To plan and schedule project effectively, the project leader identify the following element: goals, objectives, and expectation of the project, collectively called scope. Text is required activity, time estimate for each activity, cost estimate for each activity, order of the activities, activities that can take place at the same time. After these items are identified, the project leader usually records them in a project plan. Project leaders can use project management software to assist them in planning schedule and controlling development project. One of the aspects is to ensure that everyone submit and deliverables on times according to a plan, and deliverable is any tangible items such as chart, diagram, report, or a project file. The next topic is about Gantt and PERT chart. Popular tools used to plan and schedule the time relationship among project activities are Gantt and PERT. A Gantt chart is developed by Henry L. Gantt. Is a bar chart that uses horizontal bars to show project phases or activities. The left side of the vertical axis display the least required activities. A horizontal axis across the top of the bottom of the chart represent time. What is the use of Gantt chart? Gantt chart help visualize various tasks and projects that occur simultaneously with the organization, how far along they have been progressed. They are used by the management to plan and schedule such project so that the resources can be allocated in that optimal way, and the projects that are prioritized can finish before less important ones begin. The next one is about PERT chart, developed by the U.S. Department of Defense, short for Program Evaluation and Review Technique chart. Analyze the time required to complete a task and identify the minimum time required for an entire project. PERT charts, sometimes called network diagrams, can be more complicated to create than Gantt chart, but are better suited than Gantt chart for planning and scheduling larger complex projects. PERT charts, also known as a PERT diagram, is a tool to use, schedule, organize, and map out tasks within a project. Project manager use software to create Gantt chart, PERT chart, and other charts and diagrams. The next topic is about feasibility assessment. Feasibility is a measure of how suitable the development of a system will be to the organization. A project that is feasible at one point during system development might become unfeasible at least later point. System analysis therefore frequently reevaluate feasibility during system development project. System analysis typically uses at least 4 tests to evaluate feasibility of a project. First, operational feasibility, schedule feasibility, technical feasibility, and economic feasibility. What is the purpose of feasibility assessment? Feasibility assessment designed to answer whether or not proposed project or idea should go forward by determining whether the project or plan is practical and doable. Feasibility study can identify the strengths and weaknesses of the proposed plan. Operational feasibility measure how well the proposed information system will work and take advantage of the opportunity identified during scope definition, and how it satisfies the requirements identified in the requirements analysis phase of the system development. Operational feasibility is a measure of how perfectly a proposed system intends to solve the stated problem and leverage the opportunities identified during the scope definition phase. Additionally, it also determines how it satisfies every requirement identified in its requirements analysis phase. Operational feasibility depends on the project available human resources and determine if the system is usable once the project is developed and implemented. It analyzes the preparedness of the organization to support the proposed system. To determine operational feasibility, you need to understand management commitment towards the proposed project. If the management were the initiator of the operational feasibility, it would like to be accepted and used once completed. Schedule feasibility measure whether the established deadline for the project are reasonable. If a deadline is not reasonable, the project leader might make a new schedule. If a deadline cannot be extended, the scope of the project might be reduced to meet a mandatory deadline. Schedule feasibility is the process of assessing the degree to which the potential time frame and completion of dates for all major activities within a project meet organizational deadlines and constraints for affecting a change. In this analysis, we analyze the project and estimate the time for the whole project. Schedule feasibility also gives an estimation of how much time the project will take. This assessment is critical to the success of a project, especially if it involves building that is already occupied. After all, a project that doesn't complete on time is a failed project. The next one is about technical feasibility, whether the organization has or can obtain the computing resources, software service, and qualified people needed to develop, deliver, and then support the proposed information system. The technical aspect of a feasibility study helps you to determine the efficacy of your proposed project by examining the details of your intended process, including materials and labor, logistic and technology related to producing, delivering, and tracking the product or service you intended to develop. Technical feasibility, it helps organization to determine whether the technical resource meet capacity and whether the technical team is capable of converting the ideas into working system. The next one is economic feasibility, also called cost and benefit feasibility. Measure whether the lifetime benefits of the proposed information system will be greater than its lifetime cost. A system analysis often consults the advice of a business analysis, with many financial techniques such as return on investment and payback analysis to perform a cost-benefit analysis. The next is documentation. During system development, project members produce a large amount of documentation. Documentation is the collection and summarization of data, information, and deliverables. It is important that all documentation will be well written, throughout consistent and understandable. The final information system should be reflected accurately and completely in documentation development throughout the development project. Maintaining up-to-date documentation should be an ongoing part of the system development.
Hi everyone, my name is Bautista. I'm sixth reporter from Group 5. Data and Information Gathering Techniques. During system development, members of the project team gathered data and information. They need accurate and timely data and information for many reasons. System analysis and other IT professionals use several techniques to gather data and information. They review documentation, observe, survey, interview, conduct joint application design, session, and research. Next is review documentation. By reviewing documentation such as organization chart, memos, and meeting minutes. System analysis, learn about the history of a project. Second is observe. Observing people help system analyzes understand exactly how they perform a task. Para ka lang nag-oobserba ng isang makina. Like the example. Para ka lang nag-oobserba ng makina kung paano ito gagana. Ang observe kasi kailangan ng kahit pinakamaliit. Kailangan mo obserbahan pag gagawa ka ng isang bagay, kung may gusto kang gawing isang bagay, para mag-work ito. Next, survey. To obtain data and information from a large number of people, system analysis, distribute, survey. Next is interview. The interview is the most important data and information gathering technique for the system analyst. It allows the system analyst to clarify responses and probe during face-to-face feedback. Next is joint application design session. Instead of a single one-on-one interview, analysis often use joint application design session to gather data and information. A joint application design AD session or phase group consists of a series of length structured group meetings in which users and IT professionals work together to design or develop an application. Next, research. Newspaper, technology magazine and journals, reference book, trade shows, the web, vendors, and consultant or excellent sources of information. These sources can provide the system analyst with information such as the latest hardware and software products and explanation of new processes and the procedures. Next is planning phase. The planning phase for a project begins when the steering committee receives project requests. During the planning phase, four major activities are performed. The first one is review and approve the project request. The second one is prioritize the project request. The third one is allocate resources such as money, people, and equipment to approve projects. And the last one, from a project development team for each approved request. Next is analysis phase. The analysis phase consists of two major activities. The first one is conduct a preliminary investigation, and the second one is perform detailed analysis. The preliminary investigation, the main purpose of the preliminary investigation, sometimes called the feasibility study, is to determine the exact nature of the problem or improvement and decide whether it is worth pursuing. Next is detailed analysis. Detailed analysis involves three major activities. The first one, study how the current system works. The second one is determine the user wants, needs, and requirements. And the last one is recommend a solution. Detailed analysis sometimes is called logical design because the system analysis develop the proposed solution without regards to any specific hardware or software. Next, the system proposal. After the system analyst has studied the current system and determined all users' requirements, the next step is to communicate possible solution for the project in a system proposal. The purpose of the system proposal is to assess the feasibility of each alternative solution and then recommend the most feasible solution for the project. Design phase. The design phase consists of two major activities. The first is, if necessary, acquire hardware and software. And the second, develop all the details of the new or modified information system. If this activity is required, it consists of four major tasks. The first one, identify technical specification. The second one, solicit vendor proposal. Magka-canvas ka na yan. Kung magkano yung kakalabasan ng projects mo. The third one is test and evaluate vendor's proposal. Ayun na, mag-evaluate ka na kung saan yung pinakamura, kung saan yung pinakamagandang product, kung saan yung magandang benefits pag dito ka kumuha. Ganun. And the last one is make a decision. Next, identify technical specification. The first step in acquiring necessary hardware and software is to identify all the hardware and software requirements of the new or modified system. The second one, the system analyst can use three basic types of documents for this purpose. An RFQ, an RFP, or an RFI. The meaning of RFQ are request for quotation. The meaning of RFP are request for proposal. And the last one, the meaning of RFI are request for information. Next, a request for quotation or RFQ, identify the required product with an RFQ. The vendors quote a price for the listed products. Ibig sabihin ng request for quotation, nagre-request siya kung magkano yung mga presyo ng product mo, nabibilin mo doon sa vendor. Nilista ng vendor ang bawat isa ng product na request mo kung magkano yun. Next, with the react for proposal, RFP, the vendor select the products that meet specified requirements and then quote the price. And the third, a request for information, is a less formal method that uses a standard form to request information about a product or service. Magre-request ka na, tatanungin mo na kung ano yung information ng product, kung maganda ba, kung matagal bang magamit, kung ilan ang warranty, kung hanggang ilang taon yung warranty, kung maganda ba yung benefits noon, mga ganun. Next, test and evaluate vendor proposals. After sending RFQs, RFPs, or RFIs to potential vendors, the system analyst will receive completed quotations and proposal. Evaluating the proposal and selecting the best one often is a difficult task. Tama nga naman, mahirap. Kasi may isang vendor na mahal ang product, pero maganda ang benefits, ay maganda ang ng product. Meron namang vendor na mura, tapos yun nga lang, hindi gaano katagalan ang tatagal ng isang product. Next, make a decision. Having rated the proposal, the system analyst present a recommendation to the steering committee. The recommendation could be award a contract to a vendor or to not make any purchases at this time. Ngayon, nakapili na sila. Sa napili nila, gagawa na sila ng contract, doon na sila kukuha hanggang matapos yung project na gagawin nila, doon na sila kukuha ng mga product. Gagawa sila ng kontrata para kung sakaling may problema sa product, pwede na lang mapalitan, pwedeng mahabol. At the same time, yung mga hindi nila napili, hindi nila bibigyan ng contract. Ganun. The last one, detailed design. The next step is to develop detailed design specification for the components in the proposed solution. The activities to be performed include developing design for the database, inputs, outputs, and program.
What is implementation phase? When we say implementation phase, it involves putting the project plan into a action. So during the implementation phase, the project team accomplished the work defined in the plan and made adjustment when the project factors change. Or in short, isa itong gawin na pagpapatupad na kung saan ikaw at ang iyong koponan ay actual na gumagawa ng gawaing proyekto upang makagawa ng panibagong likha. So it says that implementation phase is to construct or build the new or modified system and then deliver it to the user. So members of the new system development team perform 4 major activities in this plane, which are develop programs and apps, install and test the new system, trainers, and convert to the new system. Develop programs and apps or application development is the process of creating a computer program or a set of programs to perform the different tasks that a business requires. So it helps with the programs to develop process by providing functionalities like code-free development, templates, data, synchronization, and analytics. So from calculating monthly expenses to scheduling sales report, application help business automate or automatic processes and increase efficiency. So every app building process follows the same steps: gathering requirements, designing prototypes, testing, implementation, and integration. So example dito is yung sa Excel. So dati, di tayo pwede mag-calculate ng grades doon kasi as far as I know, name list, master list, business list, and etc. Yun lang yung mga pwede. So, because of program and app development, mas napalawak nito ang performance na naibibigay niya sa atin para mas maging maayos ang ating gawa at mas mabilis. Install and testing system. So, this procedure may involve full or partial upgrades, an install and install process. So, installation testing may look for errors that occurs in the installation process that affect the user's perception and capability to use the installed software. So, for example nito is yung i-update mo yung cellphone mo. So, yung cellphone mo, if hindi kaya ng files na yun, magkakause siya ng lag or error sa iyong device. So, there are many events that may affect the software installation, and installation testing may test for proper installation whitelist, checking for a number of associated activities and events. So, some examples include the following. A user must select a variety of options. Dependent files and libraries must be allocated, loaded, or located. Valid hardware configuration must be present. Software system may need connectivity to connect the other software system. So next, we have the system analysis. It is a process of collecting and interpreting facts, identifying the problems, and the composition of a system into components. It is a problem-solving technique that improves the system and ensure that all the components of the system work efficiently and accomplish their purposes. System analysis and user test data so that they can perform various tests such as unit test, system test, integration test, and acceptance test. So what is the purpose of system analysis? So system analysis analyze how well software, hardware, and the wider IT system fit the business needs to their employer or of the client. They write requirements of new system and may also help implement them and monitor their effectiveness. Typical responsible in job offer, for example, is examining current system. So what is the main purpose of system analysis? It is simply called as the brief statement or problems faced by the user in the old application. The main purpose of system analysis is to enable the system developer to understand the user requirements and develop an application according to their requirements.
Unit testing is a software testing method where units, the individual components of software, are tested. So unit tests are typically automated tests written and run by software developers to ensure that a section of an application known as the unit meets its designs and behaves as intended. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of unit testing? So the advantages of unit testing: it finds the problems early in the development cycle. So this includes both bugs in the programmer's implementation and flaws or missing parts of the specification for the unit. So what are the disadvantages? It says that testing will not catch every error in the program because it cannot evaluate every execution path in any but the most trivial programs. So why is it important to have unit testing? Of course, to ensure that all codes meets quality standards before it deploys. And for sure, para mas malaman natin na kung ito ba ay pasok sa ating qualification of system, then kung ito ay isang magandang unit system or unit. System testing is a level of testing that validates the complete and fully integrated software product. So the purpose of system testing is to evaluate the end-to-end system specification. So usually the software is only one element of a larger computer-based system. Ultimately, the software is interfaced with other software hardware systems. So system testing is actually a series of different tests whose sole purpose is to exercise the full computer-based system. So example is to check every kind of user's input procedures to intended output across the application. Integration testing, it is the phase of software testing in which individual software modules are combined and tested as a group. So integration testing is conducted to evaluate the compliance of a system or a component with specified requirements, functional requirements. So example of integration testing, when we check and log in or sign up features in an e-commerce app, we view them as separated units. And lastly, we have the acceptance test. When we say acceptance test, it is conducted to determine if the requirements of a specification contract are met. So for example, I have 60 developers, where the 10 developers will come out, and out of 40 test engineers, the 3 test engineers will come out and they develop and test the application. And before adding it to the production server, the customer does one short round of acceptance testing. So in short, acceptance testing is to determine the working process of a system by satisfying the required specification and it's acceptable for delivery. So in short terms to remind, when we say unit test, it verifies that each individual programs or object works by itself. So system test, it verifies that all programs in an application work together properly. Then an integration test verifies that an application works with other application. And lastly, the acceptance test is to perform by end users and checks the new system to ensure that it works with actual data. What is convert into a new system? So this change can take place using one or more of the following conversion strategies: direct, parallel, phased, or pilot. So in short, it is the process of changing from old system to the new one system. So direct, the user stop using the old system and begins using the new system on certain date. The advantages of this strategy is that it requires no transition cost and is a quick implementation technique. So the disadvantages is it is extremely risky and can disrupt operations seriously if the new system does not work correctly at the first time. Parallel consists of running the old system alongside the new system for a specified time. Result from both systems are compared. The advantages of this strategy is that you can fix any problems in the new system before you terminate the old system one. So the disadvantages of this is that it is costly to operate two systems at the same time. So in phased conversion, each location converts at a separate time. For example, an accounting system might convert its accounts, receivable accounts, payable, general ledger, and payroll sites in separate phases. Each site can use a direct or parallel conversion. Larger system, which sites in separate may use or in any phased conversion. So with a pilot conversion, only one location in the organization uses the new system, so that it can be tested after the pilot site approves the new system. Otherwise, sites convert using one of the other conversion strategies. So the purpose of support and security system phase is to provide the ongoing assistance for an information system and its user after the system implemented. So the support and security phase consists of three major activities, which are perform maintenance activities, monitor system performance, and access system security. So when we say perform maintenance activities, it is to maintain and fixing the errors as well as improving a system's operations. So next, we have the monitor system performance. The purpose of this is often called the post-implementation system review, to discover whether the information system is performing according to the user's expectation. And the lastly is access system security. So during this phase, the systems analyst monitors performance of the new or modified information system. The purpose of this is to determine whether the system is inefficient or unstable at any point. So next topic that I am going to discuss to you is all about application development, languages, and tools. So one activity during the implementation phase is to develop programs and apps. So first, we have the programming languages. When we say programming languages, it is a set of word symbols or abbreviation that communicates or instruct the computer system. So next one, we have the software developers. They said that they are the creative minds behind the computer program. So example of this is sila yung mga gumagawa ng mga computer games, computer website, and computer developments, and etc. So other develop the underlying systems that run the device or that control networks. So yun nga sinasabi ko, sila yung nagpapagana sa mga programs na nakikita natin sa ating mga computer or mobile devices. So last one, we have the application developer. So sila yung mga typical na responsable for coding, designing, application management, troubleshooting, monitoring updates, and possible security threats. Sila din yung nagpo-provide the end user support. So they may also handle some project management tasks on the journey to building new application. Parang katulad lang sila ng software developers. So the picture shown the programming languages. So mamaya mas marami pa kayong program languages na malalaman sa mga next na magiging reporter. So the picture shown the C++ programming languages. So the compiler includes the C program languages, C++, and the Java, while the interpreter includes the Python, Perl, JavaScript, and Ruby program languages. So for me, the interpreter is faster than the compiler. So however, once a program is compiled, runtime or execution is faster for compiled program over interpreted ones. So what are the purposes of compiler and interpreter? So it says that compiler translate a code written in a high-level programming languages into a lower-level languages like assembly languages, object languages, machine languages like binary from 1, 0, and bits, and it converts the code ahead of time before the program runs. So an interpreter naman, it translates the code line by line when the program is running. And that's all. Hopefully you gained knowledge about my topics. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is FLORELYN, TEOLOGO, the last reporting. What is an object-oriented programming? Object-oriented programming is a computer programming model that organizes software design around data or object rather than function and logic. An object can be defined as data field that has unique attributes and behavior. These features about the structure of object-oriented program. First, classes are user-defined data types that act as the blueprint for individual object attributes and method. Next, objects are the instance of class created with specially defined data. Methods are functions that you define inside the class that describe the behavior of an object. And last, attributes are defined in the class template and represent that state an object. Programming languages such as Java and C++ and the latest version of the Visual Basic are complete OOP language. Java is high-level programming language developed by Sun Microsystems. It was originally designed for developing programming for a set-top box and handheld device, but later became a popular choice for treating web applications. C++ is a generally purpose programming language created by Bjarne Stroustrup as an extension of the C programming language or C with class. What is C++ is used for? Like C, it is when a low-level programming language is necessary, while C++ is commonly used for graphics-heavy software such as game, photo, and video editing apps. Browser. C is more widely used for embedded device and US kernels. Visual Studio are including a set of tools for developing programs and apps that work without Microsoft Suite OOP, including in the Visual Suite are Visual Basic, Visual C++, and Visual C#. Other languages are application development tools. A fourth-generation programming language is a computer language designed with a specific purpose in mind, such as the development of commercial business software. Fourth-generation languages are closer to human language than typically high-level programming language. Most 4GLS are used to access database. Classic programming language is addition to the programming language discussed on the previous page. Software developers sometimes use a language to maintain the legacy system. This language, which including basic, global, front-end, and RPG, and in the part than they are today. An application generator is a program that creates source code or machine code from the specification of required functionality. When using application generator, a software developer or user work with new driving tools and graphical user interface to define the desired specification. Application generation most often are bolded with or including as part of the RMS. A Marco is a series of statements on instruct of programming or of how to complete a task. Marcos allow users to automate routine, repetitive, or difficult tasks in applications such as word processing, spreadsheet, or data programs. That user can create a simple programming within the application by creating Marcos. You usually create the Marco in one of two ways. One, record the Marco, or write the Marco. Web development. A designer of web page known as web developer use a variety of techniques to create and publish web page. What is HTML? HTML standard for a hypertext markup language. HTML standard markup language for creating web page. HTML describes the structure of web page. HTML elements tell the browser how to display that content. HTML label pieces of content such as this is heading, this is paragraph, this is link, etc. XML standard for extensible markup language. A markup language is a set of code or tags that describe the text in digital document. The most famous markup language is hypertext markup language, which is used to format web page. Web programming refers to the writing, markup, and coding involved in web development, which including the web content, web client, and server scripting, and network security. The most common use for the web programming are JavaScript, Ruby, and Python.